Something I wanted to bring up, I don't know if we have a structured topic for the next couple of minutes, but something that I feel like I haven't had a chance to speak with you on screen about is She-Hulk. I wanted to just get your quick opinion on She-Hulk so far. I know that I've seen some of your shorts. I know that it's a little bit of a tug of war review, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts because I feel like you and I haven't had the opportunity to speak about the show in its entirety. And last week's episode, this week upcoming, what are the expectations? So definitely interested to hear if we have a little bit of time before our main topic.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the past couple weeks I've been sick. I've been out of it. I've been fighting this ear infection for the last week, so I haven't been able to do any videos on She-Hulk or really anything because I keep coughing here even. So that's why. But I did do a video. What was it? A week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. That specifically was about She-Hulk and the man-hating, and I truly believe that is what they're doing with this show. I mean, take a look at this previous week's episode, for instance. You know, the Immortal Man. They made a complete piece of shit, piece of garbage. Every single man, with the exception of one, that they have put on this show, maybe two. I'll give them two because I don't count Bruce Banner. But maybe two guys that they've put on this show have been stand-up men, people who seem like they are decent human beings in some form or fashion, one of which is her father. Yeah. So that is an issue to me. I get what they're doing with the show. I get that it's a comedy. I get that. I'm perfectly happy with a sitcom in the MCU. I think that's great. But what I don't appreciate is that that Marvel is specifically bashing more than half of their audience right in front of them. And I think that's wrong. One or two characters here or there, absolutely. I could get a chuckle out of that. I absolutely could. But when it's just constant, every episode, there's somebody else, some other man that they portray to be a bimbo, a jackass, somebody who they can just treat like shit or is a piece of shit, I think is wrong. So that is my issue with the show. If they would get past that, and don't get me wrong, the twerking stuff was terrible. I thought it was stupid. It was dumb. It was disgusting. And I think it actually was counterintuitive to what they were trying to prove on this show. They're trying to empower women, show women that they aren't to be just oogled at and looked at a certain way, but then they go and have women shaking their ass to be oogled at. It defeats the purpose of what they're trying to do because this show doesn't have a true identity. They were simply like, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to man bash everybody and we'll figure out the rest from here. And that's what it seems like because there's moments in this show, like Tatiana Maslany is fantastic. I've never really watched her in anything. And I think she's doing a fantastic job as Jennifer Walters She-Hulk. But that's it. Her assistant's decent. I can't remember her name, but she's not bad. But everybody else, even Bruce Banner, was complete shit in this show.
Well, I think that's a continuation of just the evolution of Bruce Banner's character, and some people are in, some people aren't, just the same way people are in Thor's evolution. I, for one, have been seeing the memes lately of comparing 2008's Hulk versus this Hulk that we're having right now and stuff, and I certainly agree with that to a certain extent, but it's just a natural evolution of the character and the story that they put him through in Ragnarok, Infinity War, and in Endgame. So, and this is just the repercussions of that, not repercussions, but kind of end result of that story where you have this iteration of the Hulk present in this universe. So, yeah. Hopefully they go back to a little more of the savage side of things with whatever they have planned for him. But I think overall the show has been decent. I've been surprised, honestly. I've been surprised by the last couple of shows that they've put out, actually. But this one in particular has definitely caught my attention. My big problem, and She-Hulk acknowledges it within the first 2 minutes, is you have an episode that ends with a Daredevil tease, and with the whole history behind Daredevil, and everything that happened with Netflix, and all the years that we waited, and then Spider-Man No Way Home, and you follow that up with a total filler episode of a wedding. And I hope this Tatiana thing goes somewhere, but I'm just not really feeling it, honestly. I like this little tease that the intelligentsia is maybe the leader or something like that, which I'm totally in with. So,
Yeah.
uh,
So
we just have to wait to see this how the show unfolds. But obviously, Daredevil side of it has kept me going up until this point, and I hope that's not why. When I look back after the show's finished, I hope that's not why I look back and viewed that as the reason why I powered through the show. I hope that it's because
yeah.
of everything else, and then included is Daredevil, kind of like icing on the cake.
So again, I mentioned it. This is a sitcom. And the interesting thing with sitcoms, at least over the last 10 years, is uh, more so than not, they've turned into a more, um, long form storytelling. Sitcoms used to be you have a secluded story in
Each
this
episode,
episode, and yeah, exactly, each episode was secluded. But
She-Hulk
sitcoms,
which She-Hulk has kind of emulated in a certain stretch of their show, but not episodically.
eh, and I think they're not quite sure how they want to utilize this because
Yeah.
Marvel and all their shows to this point have not been that way. They've all been long form storytelling that this episode leads into this episode, leads into this episode, leads into this episode. And this is the first time they're not doing that.
This
I
feels very
don't,
TV show.
yeah, I don't hate that they do a cliffhanger with the Daredevil helmet or mask or cowl or whatever it is, and then the next episode not show it. I mean, I grew up through the 90s and 2000s where I saw that kind of shit happen where you get a cliffhanger and then have to wait 3 months until the second half of the season started back up to see what the cliffhanger was. So that doesn't bother me so much. This episode, and the fact that she acknowledged it right away, I was like, okay, that's clever. Again, there's some interesting and cool parts with this show, but let's take this past episode for instance. And what is this show trying to do? It's trying to show She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters being this strong attorney, being able to overcome these things and everything like that. This episode with Mr. Immortal was perfect for her. Why did they give that B story to the B team when it was very much an A story that Jennifer Walters should have handled at some point? That's another issue because the wedding was pointless. It really was. Because even in secluded episodes like that, there's some kind of little bit, and I think there will be. I think the guy that she met at the wedding, I think is actually not what he seems. But I just feel like, you're trying to really cement her place as a lawyer. This case, which could have been a huge case for her to handle, you give it to the B team, and that was a little ridiculous to me. But overall, I wasn't upset that they didn't bring Daredevil in this episode, and I think that the problem with it all is that they've alluded to and hinted to Daredevil since the marketing, and they never should have, because they should have kept it for a huge surprise. They shouldn't have even shown the cow in that episode. It should be something. We know that she's a lawyer. We have this expectation of the possibility of Matt Murdock showing up, especially now because we know he's in the universe. So we're like thinking, oh, this is a lawyer show. He's got to show up at some point. But you keep that anticipation there and just let it build. And then episode 7 or 8, he pops up and you're like, holy shit, it's Daredevil. And you're not waiting for it. So you're not disappointed like we were this past episode. So that just goes back to how they're handling this show poorly. And that's just unfortunate because, again, there's so much about it I do like, but the bad parts of this show are just so bad that it's hard to fully enjoy the show.
I'm fully over the Titania storyline at this point. I'm ready to move it desperately at this point. Really think pushing her more towards a situation where maybe the leader is trying to look for blood to recreate Hulks, which leads in, which and this is Scooper stuff, so I know that this is something that you kind of backhanded last segment, but hearing stuff about like maybe it tying into Captain America and the New World Order, since the leader is coming back in there, and then having it spin into what happens with the Hulk's individual project. Like,
there's a difference between scoops and speculation. So speculation like that, speculating on that, that's fine. And don't get me wrong, I do that all the time. And I think it's exciting. I think it is a possibility that they're trying to get, the blood because they want to create more super soldiers. That was something that Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or not Falcon, yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They were doing it there. That would make sense that this is a continued storyline where they're still trying to find the right type of formula, the right substance to do that. And that's very much a Thunderbolt Ross type of thing to do. Now, who knows what they're doing with that character, if they're going to bring somebody else in to fill that role or how they're going to do that. But that's very much in line with what that character was like in the comics.
Yeah.
So I think that's a possibility. I think that would be kind of cool to see that happen, if that's the case.
Yep. Classic Marvel storytelling.
Yeah. Let us know, though, in the comments what you think of She-Hulk thus far. Are you aggravated with it like I am? Are you kind of just more, it is what it is, like Ken is? Let us know in the comments what you think. All right, now we're going to get it.